We're now living in an era of multiple lockdowns. It is known that lockdowns can't defeat a virus, they can only delay it. You likely remember that we already had a lockdown back in spring, which lasted for 4 months, and that clearly didn't stop the virus because it's back again now.
We're obviously not scientists, but we do have some common sense, and we're living through these times the same as you are. And everything we've seen so far tells us that this second lockdown will only defer and delay the virus until the day that lockdown is removed.
Most thinking people can put 2 and 2 together and work out that if we're having a second lockdown, the first one must not have worked very well. So what will a second lockdown do? Well, it will kill businesses and livelihoods, encourage mass unemployment, and do nothing good for cancer patients and the mental health of everyone.
An economy is built on confidence, and this latest U-turn has stripped that confidence away. What is there to stop a third or a fourth lockdown after this? And what impact will there be on the stock market? Let's check it out. Welcome to moneyandchapter.com, the investment and finance channel and website that sets you and your finances free.
That was Andy and I'm Ben, and if you like what we say, hit the like button and click subscribe. A 4-week lockdown. We see no reason to believe that the 4-week timetable set out by Bozza will be kept. Last time it was a 3-week lockdown which became a 4-monther. This time it's a 4-week lockdown which Michael Gove has already said will be extended by the government if the charts tell them to.
Proposed to end in December, this second lockdown is meant to end in one of the coldest months, and during the Christmas shopping and social season, an opportune breeding ground for any virus. There will be every pressure on the government to extend restrictions indefinitely until a vaccine is found.
Second, third, fourth lockdowns. This second national lockdown has set a terrifying precedent. With the first economically devastating lockdown, it could be argued that it was a one-time event. A quirk of history, followed up thereafter with more sensible, targeted measures.
Now the cat is out of the bag, and who's to say that lockdown 3 won't happen in spring 2021, followed by lockdown 4 in winter and lockdown 5 in 2022.
Businesses cannot bring themselves to plan for this because it's kind of like planning for how you'd survive being hit by a train. A bit pointless. Many businesses won't make it through lockdown 2 if it does indeed get extended into January and beyond.
Why are we having another lockdown? What happened to tiers 1, 2 and 3? Months of confusing flip-flopping led to the introduction of a 3-tiered regional approach, where areas with a low infection rate could continue with minimal restrictions. While Ben and I were being slapped with restrictions in the north, at least we could appreciate that the economy would continue in the south, with businesses allowed to continue being productive and sending tax monies northward in the form of job support schemes.
So why a national lockdown after just 3 weeks? The tiers system was only brought in on the 12th of October after all. Well, it's important to remember how the Prime Minister has handled this up until now. He has always followed the science, which means doing whatever his scientific advisors tell him to.
These advisors are only interested in saving lives from COVID and would happily recommend lockdowns forever. It is not their job to weigh up the lives saved from COVID against the wider impact on deaths caused by locking down the economy. No, that is the Prime Minister's job. Missed doctor appointments for cancer patients, the well-being of the over 70s, around 40% of whom live alone, forced to isolate, and the biggest killer of all, the poverty that will be forced on millions. The government scientists said we should lock down, and so we have.
What October Boris thought about lockdowns? Don't get us wrong, out of the 2 major parties, we have always considered ourselves most closely aligned with the Conservatives because they were supposed to be the party of the economy. We fully expected Corbyn to destroy the economy, so we gave Boris our vote in the general election, never suspecting that he would do just the same.
Here's what the Prime Minister thought about lockdowns on October 21st, with some direct quotes. It is a bit incoherent of Labour leader Keir Starmer to attack local lockdowns when he wants to plunge the whole country back into a damaging lockdown for weeks on end, and Labour wants to turn the lights out with a full national lockdown.
For weeks before this, a national lockdown had been derided by the Prime Minister as a blunt instrument and a nuclear option, certain to wipe out the economy. So to be clear, the government is doing this in the full belief that it will cripple the UK.
Show me the money! The furlough scheme is back, but will it make a difference? The scheme is being extended throughout the second lockdown, with furloughed employees paid 80% of their wages. This time around, however, business managers must be seriously considering their options regarding employee redundancies.
This is because there is still some cost to the employer despite furlough, and breaking the sacred seal of the lockdown to bring in a second one means that a third and a fourth are sure to be on businesses' radars. Using up cash reserves and debt facilities on a single lockdown can be endured to some extent. But an expectation of an unending cycle of shutdowns and draconian restrictions means many businesses will simply have to downsize their workforce permanently or close down altogether. Mass unemployment is almost inevitable.
As well as furlough, you can also get a £3,000 a month grant if you're a small business owner, and if you're a homeowner, the mortgage payment holiday scheme has been extended throughout the winter. Everyone is allowed to take up to a 6-month break from their mortgage payments if they haven't done so already. It can be helpful to get you through hard times, but might make it trickier to remortgage or take out other debt in the future.
Of course, the country can't afford any of this, the furlough, the bailouts or the debt extensions. We're piling onto the national debt at the same time as we're shutting down all productivity. There must be a more intelligent way of controlling the virus than destroying the economy which, incidentally, pays for the NHS. Impact on the stock market. The FTSE 100 and FTSE 250 were largely unmoved by the news over the Halloween weekend that the retail and hospitality sectors were being dealt a death blow. Some stocks in directly affected industries did take an initial beating, like JD Wetherspoon's, Cineworld and EasyJet, but even these recovered most of their losses within the first day.
The FTSE 250 index as a whole remained fairly flat, while the FTSE 100 actually climbed about 1% off the back of the pound weakening against the dollar. The high number of multinationals in the FTSE 100 weirdly means that a weaker pound is actually good for the UK's main index.
What this shows is that worries about lockdowns were already priced into the market, and confirmation of bad news has settled the FTSE down into what might be a new bottom. The FTSE 250 has tried to fall down past 17,000 6 times since June, sometimes succeeding briefly, but it looks to us like a flaw. The index represents real assets with market values, and there is only so low that an index can realistically go. The PE ratio of the FTSE 250 index is just 16.
Those waiting for a big crash in UK stocks may be disappointed. Our strategy of drip feeding money into the market, called pound cost averaging, is still in our view the best way forward. We have less faith now that our war chest of cash being kept back in anticipation for a massive crash will be needed. And instead we're going to start increasing the monthly amounts we invest by eating into this more over the next few months.
If you're not already investing, or you just want to try out a new platform, check out moneyunshackled.com, linked below, to scoop up free stocks, cash, and other discounts when you open an investing account through any one of our many partners. These include Free Trade, who are giving away a free stock worth up to £200, and Stake, who will give you a free stock worth up to $100. Check it out.
Income investors. Market indexes may not be moving much, but people investing for income are likely to feel the pinch from the implication of perpetual lockdowns. Dividends have already been cut or scrapped in 2020 by many traditional dividend-paying companies, and they will now be more likely to want to keep the cash in the business rather than distribute to shareholders.
Property investors are likewise at a greater risk than before of tenants defaulting on their rents, as the risk of unemployment has gone up significantly. And not everyone receives furlough. Self-employed people may struggle to find work during lockdown and may receive little in the way of support from the government. Bad for them and bad for landlords.
Investing in lockdown, a warning. A word of caution, we expect some individual stocks to plummet in price over winter, but this is because there is a genuine chance of the company going bust. A company like Cineworld, for instance, cannot exist indefinitely without any customers. If we need a lockdown, it means it's probably going to be even longer before cinemas can reopen, inflaming their cash flow crisis, but there may not be a need for cinemas now anyway.
Since the pandemic started, new films are being released on Netflix, Prime and Disney Plus instead of the cinema, and has become a popular way of receiving new movies. Maybe this has become a permanent paradigm shift in the way that we watch movies. What we're saying is, don't try catching a falling knife by gambling on stocks which plummet during lockdown.
What other countries are doing? Impact on global portfolios. France, Ireland and Austria have reimposed full lockdowns, with several other European countries introducing harsher restrictions. The CAC 40, France's leading stock market index, dropped 5% as a result. But lockdowns in Europe and in the UK have a relatively small impact on global portfolios, as America makes up such a large chunk of world equities.
As we film, the US election result hangs on a knife edge. Joe Biden is very pro-economic and social shutdowns and has said that he would not hesitate to implement a second lockdown. If he wins, he gets to take charge from January. And if America does lock down from January-February time, expect a far bigger impact on world portfolios.
The V-shaped recovery is long gone. We always knew that the UK was capable of a V-shaped recovery if given the chance. That's now off the table. The final 2 months of the year should be the most lucrative time for the high street, with shoppers spending around £50 billion on goods excluding food.
But the new measures will leave retailers with mountains of stock unsold, much of it bought with precious cash during the last few weeks of false confidence provided by the free tiers system. Retailers will miss out on essential weeks of Christmas trading, including Black Friday. For much of the UK's economy, the Christmas period is the only time that profits are made.
Question of the day: do you see lockdown as a necessary evil or an unnecessary one? Let us know down in the comments. Thanks for watching. On this channel we talk a lot about personal finance, investing and all things money. If you want to see more great content, please click the subscribe button below.
Visit moneyunshackled.com. See you next time.